Strength Trials File 5. This week we're going to talk about why I like the conjugate system this time around. It is my third time attempting to use the conjugate system in a long-term plan. The first and foremost, the reason why I enjoy it is because I don't feel like I'm getting as beat up. So I think there's some element of injury prevention built into the program. I don't have the same beat up hips and knees that I always had when I ran 5-3-1, or I ran like a squat every day or squat every other day program. I don't have that chronic wear and tear, that every day going in there and having to move around for a good half hour to 45 minutes before I can get going. I don't have that anymore. I also have made it a point to live on my reverse hyper. And I do have a history of having some back pain, and being that I'm on the hyper about 4 times a week, not only is it getting my lower back stronger, but it's also helping me stay healthy. And I think that helps me down, the path of longevity and being able to make long-term progress. The second point is that I'm learning how to target my weak points properly. You can say that, the conjugate system, you got to target weak points. I remember when I first tried to run this about 7 years ago or 6 years ago, I had no idea what it meant. Like, what does that mean? All right, well, let's squat and deadlift because I'm weak in both of those. Well, you got to take it a step further. And I think as an older lifter, as moving from a novice lifter to an amateur, to an experienced, to down the line, you understand what those weak points are. For me, in the lower body, it's the low back and the glutes, and in the upper body, it's the upper back and the triceps. So being able to target those weak points, going through the methods of training, whether it's max effort, dynamic, or repetition effort, after you get done with that, that's when we really make our biggest gains. And this my last training cycle, the biggest carryover that I found was the reverse hyper and my stiff leg kettlebell swings for my glutes. I brought those up over about a 10-week period, and I never in my wildest dreams thought I was going to pull 635. And I pulled 635 relatively easy. For the bench, I still have to continue to work form, but the added volume in the upper back and in the triceps will also pay off. So I'm anxious to see that part of the training in the bench press take off. But learning how to target those weak points is something that comes with, I think, training age and understanding what movements can help you and what movements don't. The third point I want to talk about is you learn how to auto-regulate. So a big thing that a lot of people talk about is not missing reps in the gym. Through the dynamic effort system and max effort system, you have to understand what your body's capable of. So I need to know the difference between an absolute grinder like a 10 or something like a 7 where I know I have more in the tank. Being able to do that goes back to the last point is, you have to be an experienced lifter, and you have to know that not every day is a day you're going to go into the gym and PR, but you have to give your best on that day. So sometimes if you go into the gym and you're deadlifting and your max is 550 pounds, well, 500 might be your daily max that day because of your external stressors, because you didn't eat well, you didn't sleep well, whatever it may be. You need to understand and how to auto-regulate yourself to know that, all right, I'm going to pull 500, it didn't feel great, I'm going to move on to my accessories, and I'm going to get stronger there. I think that is something that I've learned to do over the last probably about 20 to 30 weeks here while I've been running the system. And it has allowed me to make progress. And when I was doing the system before, I don't think I understood that. I always thought I was going there and try to hit a PR every single time. Don't worry about form. Don't worry about anything like that. Just make sure you go in there and you bust your ass. And I did that, but I didn't do any assistance work with it. I never targeted the weak points. And I missed reps. I wasn't sure how to auto-regulate. So I don't think when it came meet day, it never worked out for me. And I'm sitting there scratching my head as to why. But anyway, yeah, you got to learn how to auto-regulate. And lastly, I mentioned it in last week's video, is the maximal effort method. I think that being able to train the maximal effort method in the gym allows you a little bit of a mental break or a mental relief on meet day, because you're going into that day knowing that you have 3 attempts, and optimally, if you're training, you want to have 3 lifts above 90%, or at least 2 above 90% in the max effort. method. So you're training like that 52 weeks out of a year. You have 52 training sessions that are built similarly as a meet. So I think having that attitude and having that mindset over and over again in your training makes it easier on meet day. And I know for me it has helped tremendously because you just snap it off. You know, whether it's working up, I work up to 385 here, 360s next. I felt like that was pretty tough, but I knew I had more in me. So there's the auto regulation. All right, let me throw on 20 more pounds. Let's get it up to 380. And I know 380 was going to be my top attempt of the day. And if you watch the video, 380 looks a lot better than 360. So tie all those points in. I encourage anybody to maybe read some of Louie Simmons' books, his articles, learn a little bit more about the conjugate system. I know it gets a bad rap, especially from raw lifters, but there's guys out there like Matt Wenning who are breaking the mold, really enforcing that the conjugate method is a good tool to use and everybody should take some pieces from it. If they're not going to run the complete system, take a couple points from it and make yourself a better athlete and power lifter. Hope everybody has a safe week. Stay safe and stay strong.